It's a great day for us at Stellantis today because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconcile with real customers' demand.
Well, today is going to be an interesting day. We are going to be going from coast to coast in stories today and addressing the issues of essentially Donald Trump south of the border waving success in the face of Mark Carney, in the face of the Liberal Party, in the face of Canada, saying, what you going to do about it, brother? Well, guess what? We just found out Carney's going to do absolutely nothing. We're going to be talking about this and so much more, including the nonsense going on in BC right now with the Conservative Party, and as well as the nonsense happening in Nova Scotia right now with Nova Scotia Power. You know, the only power utility in the province that's privately owned, and the only defense mechanism customers have is the government. We know how that's going to go, isn't it? We're going to be talking about this and so much more. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. Getting value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get to new audiences. It helps people see that there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. And now let's get into our first story, shall we? So we're going to start off on the West Coast. And trust me, this will all come together because right now, as you can tell when we're starting off the show, we're getting fired up. I'm real fired up this morning, okay, guys? This was a crazy story. Let's just start here. John Rustad, removed as the BC Conservatives leader, the party says that they're removing John Rustad as the leader. We saw that this was coming. We knew that there was kind of all those rumblings happening in the caucus and in the party, especially as the pressure that's being applied by the likes of One BC on this party right now. It is getting interesting. However, it is the fascinating time because the NDP, quite frankly, sucks right now in BC right now. They are not looking good as sentiment for a pipeline is building in the province, and David Eby keeps getting in the way of it. And then you have the likes of the pulp and paper mill that, lost 350 jobs this week, where again, David Eby is found to be the guy who is the big reason why that happened. And it is a very, very wild time for the NDP government at this point in time in in BC. And you'd think you'd see this as an opportunity to garner more support. You see this as an opportunity to seize the day, but no. You've decided to keep fighting among yourselves. And John Rustad, we knew this for a long time. John Rustad just wasn't the guy. We've been hearing about this for a long time, that the party was deeply unhappy with him. And they finally pulled a move. And then he decided to do this. I know you guys are wanting me out, but I haven't resigned, guys. He says, I have not been removed and I'm not going anywhere. A political party's board can throw around whatever creative terminology they like. Professional incapacitation. Give me a break. Let me be clear. That's not a constitutional mechanism. So this is where things getting very interesting, isn't it? Because you have the likes of the party who wants you gone, yet you are citing legal issues of why you are going to stay. That sounds very weird, John. I'm sorry, I'll be honest. Yes, of course, you have the legal merit to be like, yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm going to keep my job. Suck it. You can definitely do that. However, when a chunk of the party says you got to go, for the sake of unity of your party, you probably should go. You should probably leave. I was really thrown by this. I didn't even know about it. I was messaging a friend of mine over in BC about this last night, and I was like, wow, what are your thoughts on John Rustad getting removed? And they said, he's not going anywhere. I was like, he literally, I sent the art, he literally got ousted. It's like, he's literally not going anywhere. Look at his tweets. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fundamentally insane. BC politics is incredibly nuts at the moment. Again, as you said, you would think that you'd get your crap together enough as a conservative party to capitalize on the opportunity that the NDP has given you. David Eby can't score a win for his life right now. He's getting smoked on the pipeline issue. He's gotten smoked on these jobs issues. When he's asked about these jobs issues, he lies or he kind of obfuscates and doesn't get anything clear, and people are getting more irritated with him. And as well as you have the issues with the CCP and the drug cartels and nothing being done about it, people are just at their wits' end with this NDP government. And then you go over to the other side of the aisle, the Conservative caucus, and they're fighting, and they're fighting. And this is the issue with this party in general right now, is they don't have an identity. Their identity is, we're not as woke as the NDP, but we're not racist like the 1BC. That's their mantra right now, which I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not an identity. An identity is, what are your principles? What are your policies? What are you bringing to the table? That isn't NDP sucks and those two people at 1BC suck too. Like, what is your identity? And this is the issue people are having. And that's why you're starting to split the support. Why more people are getting more interested in what 1BC is doing, because you can hate what they're talking about. You can hate what they're about, but at least they're standing on principle. Your party is standing on what? You got a leader who doesn't want to leave. That's a bad look. That's a bad look. You guys need to figure it out, because you have an amazing opportunity before you. It would be a shame to see you shoot yourselves in the foot, lose the opportunity because you couldn't get your crap together and couldn't find a policy-driven vision to move your party forward. And seize the opportunity that's in front of you to win an election, get it back from the control of the NDP, and see prosperity come to your province. That would be nice. And that's why I'm seeing that's why we're starting to see a lot of people starting to move closer to the 1BC, because at least they have principles, whether you hate them or love them. That's the reality. BC conservatives right now don't have an identity, and people see right through everything at this point in time. Because as I said, the NDP is reeling. We had this story break about how we heard it in the legislature. We heard it in the legislature in BC. We heard it in the House of Commons in Ottawa. This specific situation with 350 jobs essentially disappearing. The blame is what? Can you predict who the blame's going to be on? Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the problem. Donald Trump's tariffs. Donald Trump's tariffs. And well, the GM of the BC Pulp and Paper Coalition says, actually, this has zero to do with the U.S., zero to do with Donald Trump, and everything to do with Premier David Eby.
BC Pulp and Paper Coalition says the lack of fiber is a made in BC problem, arguing the decision to close the mill is not tied to U.S. trade tariffs.
You will hear people say tariffs. It is approximately 0%. And I'll go on record and I'll debate that with anybody. It's 0% due to tariffs. And the reason why I say that is, let's take the Crofton Pulp and Paper Mill. Tiny percentage of what they make goes into the USA.
That was echoed by the BC Conservatives.
So tariffs aren't the issue. That's all we've been hearing in the House. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's this government's fault, not being able to have access to enough fiber, not having cost certainty, and not being able to make sure that they're able to have enough opportunities to be able to continue to work.
So you heard it there. It's just the lack of access to critical materials that allow them to do what they do and make what they make. And that is strictly because of David Eby getting in the way. Again, another provincial government getting in the way of success and prosperity of their constituents. Imagine that. Why am I not surprised? Well, speaking of people getting in the way, the Liberal Party's been doing that quite frequently, and I needed to really get this story out because, man, this one got me fuming. So you know the story where the Liberal Party decided to have some fun with your funds, I guess, and give $15 billion to Stellantis in subsidies, you know, the car manufacturer, here in Canada. Keep the jobs here in Canada. To keep manufacturing here in Canada, we'll give you $15 billion so you can stay here. And they signed that off with no jobs guarantees. Nothing. And then Stellantis said, okay, well, thank you. See ya. We'll deal with you in court. We'll absorb all the cost of what's going to cost to break this deal and contract, because the grass is greener in the United States right now, and we're investing an additional $13 billion into the United States right now. We're going to reopen manufacturing down there. We're going to bring our cars down there. And that's what we're going to do. Whatever fee we have to pay for cancellation, whatever money we forfeit due to these issues, we will 100% take that on the chin, because it's worth going to the U.S. right now. That happened, right? You remember how that happened? Melanie Jolie, again, trying to soften the blow. You know, we're looking into it. We're going to make sure we get our money back. You know, well, 'cause that's the only thing you can do right now. Remember that? Well, Donald Trump had a bunch of auto manufacturer leaders into the Oval Office yesterday to talk about his red tape that he's lifting on the auto industry and allowing them to build cars for cheaper in the United States. And then there's just one little thing that happened that really got me going. And it was this. Donald Trump brought up the CEO of Stellantis to talk about how amazing the United States is. Watch this piece.
Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest through Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Carney, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K cars, which we are very interested in. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thanks.
Donald Trump just waving this in Carney's face, waving this in Canada's face right now. Yeah, I know. You gave $15 billion to this company that you're trying to essentially sue to get that money back because that's all you can do at this point in time. And they brought $13 billion of investment to our country and are building cars in our country. What are you going to do about it? This is embarrassing. This is straight up embarrassing. This is where my competitive nature comes in. This is where my sports background comes in, where you're losing a game, you're getting smoked, especially if you're playing a physical sport. You're getting smoked, it's not looking good, and then the other team starts talking trash. The other team starts getting in your face, starts letting you know that you stink. And it's very easy for an uncontrolled and undisciplined team to then take issue with what is being said to them instead of looking inward as a team and how they can get better, improve, and then go beat the other team on the scoreboard. So easy. And then the team that decides to not focus on their play, the team that decides to not focus on what they can control, not focus on what they can do, instead they get absolutely triggered. They get frustrated. They get undisciplined. They lose their cool because of what the other guy is saying. They typically are the ones that lose, and that is Canada in this case. We are so caught up in what Donald Trump says, so caught up in what the United States does, so caught up in what's happening over there, that you're losing focus on what you can control at home. And then you sit and you cry, elbows up, it's not fair, look what he's doing to us. He's doing to us. Look at what your federal government is doing to you. They're stripping everything away from you day by day, and you think they're the good guys. No. Donald Trump is exposing everything they've done to you, and they've done such a good job at convincing you that he's the problem. You can't control Donald Trump. You can't control the United States. You can't control China. You can't control it. You can't control what these countries do. But what we can do is we do literally have the power right now to go make something of ourselves. And we refuse to do it. So now what's going to happen here is this what takes me off is still, Trump is waving Stellantis in your face right now. And what's going to happen in the House of Commons? I don't know. It's going to be, oh, look what they're doing to us again. They're going to keep pushing this fear crap into you to make you think that Trump's the problem here. Look what he's doing. Stellantis is the problem. Isn't that not what Doug Ford did? Stellantis is the issue. Crown Royal's the issue. Pour Crown Royal out on live television. They're the problem. No. Doug Ford, I know you're really tight with Mark Carney and stuff. You're the problem, Doug Ford. Mark Carney's the problem. The people that are in power right now are the problem. There's so much they can do to figure this out, and they refuse to do it. Now, you got Donald Trump on television in the United States in the Oval Office with the Stellantis CEO saying, what up? What are you going to do about it? And guess what? We're going to do, and what is shown to be, absolutely nothing. We're going to go be part of EU Safe. The one that we have to probably spend close to $10 billion just to enter an agreement with. Give me a break. This is such a great idea. Give me a break. Control what you can control. And speaking of absolute hellscapes because of lack of competition, too much government talk, is, Nova Scotia. So let's talk about Nova Scotia for 2 seconds. This has been a huge issue here in this province. So long time ago, because of a lack of developing resources, a lack of entrepreneurial mentality, a lack of focus on what you could do to push this province forward, it's been what they've known as a have-nothing province. Especially after the coal mines closed in Sydney, auto manufacturing closed due to free trade. It's just been, the province has had a tough time recovering, and it never truly did. So it's become a province that's been very much reliant on government subsidy and the government doing things for them. It's just the natural culture of what's happened here. So naturally, you have the likes of, you had a government-owned power company in Nova Scotia Power, there was a conservative government, I think early 2000s, sold it off to a private entity in Nova Scotia Power, in Emera. Now Emera controls Nova Scotia Power. And over time, as of course, if you are literally the only power provider and the only game in town, what motivation do you have to change? What motivation do you have to be dynamic, especially when you're a publicly traded company? What motivation do you have? Your motivation's to your stockholders. Your motivation's to your stakeholders. Your motivation is to your board. That's who your motivation is to. You don't really care about the customers. Whatever you can extract out of the customers, what you're going to do. And that's what's happening in Nova Scotia. We have one utility company, and they're smoking the customers. That's what's happening. And the only person, the only entity that can get in their way, the only entity that can really fight for the people is the government. Yeah, this sucks. And that's what's happened. We had a data breach here in Nova Scotia in April. And what's happened is Nova Scotia Power has went to a digital meter so that they can just pull everyone's data all at the same time, so they don't have to pay for meter readers anymore. So data breach happens, things blow up, it gets wild. And thousands upon thousands of people's data gets leaked, gets torn, including people's social insurance numbers, and they get flooded into the dark web. It's been ugly. And so Nova Scotia Power had to cover for that and, pay for like identity services for people. It was really ugly. And so come July, Nova Scotia Power issued this statement saying, since the cyber incident discovered on April 25th, power meters have continued to function and gather accurate energy usage data from homes and businesses across the province. However, due to the cyber incident, the meters have not been able to communicate that data to our systems. As a result, we initially paused customer billing and have recently resumed billing, with most customers receiving estimated bills until our systems are restored and meters begin communicating again. And this is what they've done, is they've been relying on estimated billing across the province for close to 500,000 customers. And so they could get away with that over the summer when power usage is not as concentrated, but then the winter is hitting. It's getting cold. People are using the power, and everyone's still getting estimated bills. They said in the summertime that they're going to be hiring people. They said in the final paragraph here, meter readers will be wearing Nova Scotia branded clothing and will carry identification badges with the word contractor at the bottom to start reading meters. So they started hiring meter readers to take care of this. But here we are in the wintertime, and people are still getting estimated bills. So what happened? Well, they allegedly only have 100 people for 500,000 customers to go meter read. So they can't do it for everybody. So people are still getting estimated bills, and these estimated bills are exorbitant. And people's like, I'm one of them. This time last year, my bill was $388. This year, $568. Over almost close to $200 more I'm paying. And you know what it says at the top of my bill? This bill's been estimated. And what you can do, and what they're trying to figure out, is like, okay, just read your own meter and go tell us and call us on the phone. However, it takes hours to get someone on the phone. It's been an absolute gong show. Tim Houston comes out and puts this statement out. He says, the cyber attack was not the fault of Nova Scotians, yet they are bearing the financial consequences of Nova Scotia Power's operational shortcomings, Houston said in the letter he shared on social media Wednesday. Nova Scotia Power, subsidiary of Halifax-based Emera, he said the personal financial data belonged to 280,000 ratepayers was accessed by an unauthorized party, yada, yada. As a result, Houston said customers have been dealing with inflated bills, consecutive charges within short periods, and a lack of communication about billing adjustments. It's not lost on me or the board that knowingly overbilling would constitute regulatory fraud, and misreporting revenue to the markets is a form of securities fraud, Houston said in his letter, and he had to start speaking the language of this company, which is true. Because if you are essentially collecting more money than you should be, and now you're reporting misrepresented revenue numbers to your board and then to the markets, that is securities fraud. That is something that needs to be looked at. And again, I know the conversation in the debate's always been, well, it should just be a public owned utility anyways. And the problem is, when you ever have a system that is run by humans, it's going to screw up regardless. You have to pick your evil. You either have this issue that you're having where you have a private entity who just doesn't care about the customers because they just care about their stockholders, and there's no competition here to put them in check. So you have to rely on the government to do that, which they are powerless most times. Or you could be like New Brunswick Power, that has a public-owned utility, who are now having rolling brownouts because the government chose not to keep their systems updated. And they kept running old technology, and now they can't keep up with demand in the province of New Brunswick, and they have to look at building new infrastructure to maintain the demand. However, now they're running into regulatory issues with the green technology and green economies. They don't know if they want to build it now. So now New Brunswick customers, New Brunswick residents, have to live with the fact that they might just have to deal with rolling brownouts in the province. Any system is just flawed. It is what it is. One system is not going to be better than the other. So it just got to pick your evil. And the problem is in Nova Scotia is Nova Scotia Power runs everything. You can't even go off grid here. If you go off grid and you don't hit all the right loopholes legally, they can fine you. They can put a lien on your property. They can do all kinds of things. You have to be tied in the grid here in Nova Scotia. It's a joke. It's not a business at this point. That you have to work with these guys. I think there's only 1 or 2 locations in the province that have their own utilities, and it's for a very small population of people. It's an absolute joke. It's insane here. And it's only getting worse. And this is where much as I'm not a huge Tim Houston fan, I do appreciate him trying to push for more resource development in this country so that true revenue can start coming in. We can start seeing prosperity for our people here in Nova Scotia, and we can start bringing competition for things like utilities here. It's insane. But alas, I'll leave it at that. Anyways, enjoy your day. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.